Welcome to another weekend here on the platform. My name is Sam Omashe. On this program this weekend, I'll be tackling two issues. One is the increasing call for the resignation or the firing of Isa Pantami, the Minister of Telecommunication. The second is a look at the dwindling revenue in the states, and that the states are now getting increasingly in straitened circumstances, which is a cause for some kind of radical revenue engineering in the country.
Last week, this essayist set some English language and semiotics pundits on fire over how to define an icon or how iconography works. I had a friendly joust with Transportation Minister Rotimi Amechi over whether we could as yet call the railway's headquarters an icon. While that debate raged in and outside this column, I saw that a poor definition was afoot. It was in the southeast when the governors launched Abuja, the region's answer to the southwest's Amotekun. I joked that Amotekun, a big cat in its own right, was as a baby jaw compared with the famed king of the jungle, the lion. The leopard will wince when it hears the territorial roar of the big cat. But when Abuja was translated for the public, some called it the fear of the lion or the glory of the lion. They mean well. I don't speak Igbo, but it shows how translation alone cannot be left in the hands of the owners of the language. Remember Mpokwo Igbo, the popular TV series of yore. Fear here makes the lion strong without authority. Glory hints at accomplishment or celebration. The translator must look for a word that matches the context. In this case, it is security. Here I suggest awe. It encompasses both fear and glory and lends respectability. You don't only fear the best armies, you respect them. How about that, my Igbo friends?
To look at these issues with me is a mainstay of this program, the Red Cap Chief, Public Affairs Analyst, Gbola Oba. You're welcome to this show.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be on your set once again.
Well, we'll start with this issue of Isa Pantami. I mean, some people believe that this matter should not have even come to this, that this man ought to have understood that in the 21st century and in an age of intolerance for bigotry, that a man like him does not have a place in the governance of men and women.
I guess you may be living in Nigeria, but you are not a Nigerian. If you are a Nigerian, you would agree with me that Pantami knows.
Maybe I'm more Nigerian.
Pantami knows that those of you who are not Nigerians will go in the direction of cacophony. But those who are Nigerians, who understand the real politics of Nigeria, know that, you know what?
The politics of the real politics.
The real politics of Nigeria. This gentleman was nominated, and the DSS supposedly did a background check on him before the appointment, before he was interviewed by the Senate and before he was confirmed. And to be honest with you, the information now in the public sphere by one retired deputy director of DSS is that the Senate indeed was made aware of some of those remarks, and it got confirmed. So at this juncture now, he also knows how to use the power levers of Nigeria. When the news first broke, it was intimidation, the kind of intimidation that they played against the journalist that brought out the news. Suddenly, the person who who was threatening to litigate. Somebody who was threatening litigation suddenly did a volte-face and started apologizing for those remarks and saying that he has repented. Now, one wonders, somebody in my position now wonders, oh, the explanation of the presidency, was it for the person that was trying to intimidate journalists out of doing their jobs, or the person who did the volte-face and started apologizing? But you know what? Everybody now has perfected the art of using modern lingo to excuse whatever they want to do. The presidency is basically accusing the Nigerian intelligentsia of wanting to use cancel culture against somebody that they are displeased with.
Now, some people have said the man has said, I'm sorry. Is that not sufficient? I mean, in the Christian credo, a basic part of it is, if a man says, I'm sorry, then you say, okay. Because you say you are sorry, you are forgiven. In the case Jesus Christ was asked, no, this man has offended me 7 times. How many times should I forgive him? Jesus says 70 times 7. Why should the Christian not forgive Pantami for saying I'm sorry?
Fantastic question. The I'm sorry would have sufficed if he had not started the round with intimidation. Contrition would always come with genuineness. Wanting to be belatedly contrite in the backdrop of the fact that you know you've been caught with the oil of the soup in your hand, please, smacks of comedic form of.
Well, maybe your hand is in the soup because you want to sniff it, not because you want to lick it.
Oh, nobody said you wanted to lick it. It's just that the soup ordinarily
it should not be in your hand.
It should not be in your hand. Why the intimidation if the contrition was genuine? And that spoils the case for even what the presidency was trying to use as its excuse for the man still holding on to the job. Because if the contrition was genuine, as the news broke, if he came out and said, yes, I was in my 20s, I was young, exuberant, and I was like most of us. I used to crack a joke as a result of something that I read some years back. If you are in your 20s, you were not predisposed to Marxism, something fell out of your youthfulness. But if you are in your 40s and your 50s, and you are still beholden to Marxism, you are living a delusional life, because the reality of life ought to have brought you to the point where you know that as fantastic as the Marxist ideas are, they can't last too long. That's why socialism, as practiced by some, this thing failed. So I'm sitting there now thinking, if you had come out saying, you know what, I was young, I was exuberant, my ideological and doctrinal sounding of the good faith of Islam was not that matured then, and now I know better that Islam is a religion of peace that does not support terrorism, and then that would have been lovely.
I would have even wanted to answer, but even Jesus Christ, even in the scriptures, they say that if you repent, you should show fruits made for repentance. What has he done since then? Since he made those inflammatory to show that he has to condemn those things, to even show that he has had a new turn of life. He hasn't. Rather, we know that there is a new allegation that there was one Sunday Archie who was killed, who was mobbed and lynched because he was spreading quote and unquote religiously inflammatory material in Bauchi State, when this same Pantami was the imam of the mosque in the Tafawa Balewa University in Bauchi State. He has not responded to that.
Look,
as of the time of this program, he has not responded to that. Now, there's also the point that even as minister, a conference under the aegis of the Ministry of Telecommunications was beamed on Al-Fiqh, an Islamic channel. So how do you, for instance, it's just like asking, saying that.
To be honest with you, I have no issue with him on that. You know why I say I have no issue.
It's a dedicated Islamic. It's just like saying that the anchor program headed by Oshibado should be on Dove TV. If you do that,
to be honest with you, I have no issue. You know why?
Why have issue with that?
You don't know. You know why I have no issue? I'm a Christian. I'm a nominal Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I own two technical training institutes, mm-hmm. and the materials, the teaching materials of those two technical training institutes, I have them transcribed from English to Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, and Arabic. And somebody asked me once and said, why would you want the teaching materials, pedagogical materials of your training institute translated into Arabic? And I said, you know what? Between northern Nigeria, that is between northwest and northeast Nigeria and the southwest of Nigeria, the number of children in Islamic schools are far more than the number of children, for me, in conventional schools. And if we want to reach them and enroll them into skills empowerment, let's use the language that they are compelled to learn with.
Well, that was not about language. That was about faith. So that's a different thing. The channel was not about language. It was about faith.
Okay.
So it's not the same. It's not the same example. It's just like saying that the anchor program, Oshibajo wants to do an anchor program and he wants it beamed on Dove TV or on Emmanuel TV. You know, that itself is contentious.
I know what you mean.
It's contentious. So that there's also another issue.
But if he believes that he could reach a larger body of Nigerians,
then it should spread the net. Then it should spread the net.
Okay.
Then it should spread the net.
That's a fair.
Then it should spread the net.
That's a fair argument to beat down.
Yes.
My line of defense for him.
Now, the response by government has been very interesting. The president allowed a presidential aide to respond to a matter he should voice his own statement on. And we had a Federal Executive Council meeting, and the matter was neither heard nor discussed.
I want to believe that we run a system of government where men cannot afford to be men. And I mean, people seldom can be principled. I don't know why, because anywhere in the world, it is always men.
Good men.
Good men. Especially good men. That's the phrase.
Yeah.
That's the phrase that matters here. Good men. And men in this instance.
Men and women.
Men and women. Good men who know the meaning of integrity.
And values.
And who have values. And know that when you swear an oath, or when you affirm before God and man,
yes,
that this is what you will uphold it. That may be what we are lacking, and that may be the answer to your question. Because nobody mentioned it. Okay, let's say they tell us that before anything is discussed at the Federal Executive Council, it must have been intimated the council minimum of 2 weeks, 2 working weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say that was not done. When the presidency was going to release an official statement regarding the matter, they had contemporary knowledge enough to use a phraseology that is now common in the world. Council, they didn't even call it council culture.
Yeah, just say council.
But you know what? They knew to use that, but they forgot one thing, that the chronology of facts, contemporary facts, was such that the gentleman first denied, intimidated journalists. Ironically, journalists spoke on his behalf and on behalf of the presidency. People who claim to have journalism background.
Yes, defending.
You see the importance of men.
Of men, exactly. The man himself is a journalist. Then Gabashew is a journalist.
I just said.
That's what I'm saying.
So.
Well, he has forgotten. He has forgotten.
Oh,
He has forgotten the tenets that bring all of this, that make all of these things work as journalists. Now, there is also the issue, because some people say that, well, he was probably a wild horse as 20-something years old. He was not to be held accountable. That all of us, as youths, we've done things in our past that we regret over time, and so on and so forth. I always said that the optics is more important. The fact that you made a statement like that, and you have already, in a sense, fouled the air. Your presence in that atmosphere of government and governance itself creates a sense of legitimizing whatever happened. And it makes it difficult to hold people accountable, to hold people accountable for what they did in the past when they come to government, if a person like Pantami can get away with it. The other issue is that in the case of Kemi Adeosun, they were not quick to defend the woman when she was Minister of Finance. But when she left over circumstances about her certificate, youth service, and so on and so forth. But here, there it is. They've now jumped at the matter.
Welcome to the Nigeria of privileges and the Nigeria of the ordinary people. If you happen to be one of those who fall into the privileged class, the establishment will bend over backwards to rationalize whatever may be the absurdity that your life presents. If you are one of those who, by the very nature of where you are coming from, you people are just barely tolerated, and the person who will succeed you naturally will mark up for some parochial interest. Why not go? We will just make sure that you are not prosecuted. Go back to your England.
Some people have said, well,
double
in
standards.
the case double standards, not only the double standards for him, but that in a sense, for the president to come and say anything will be a sort of self-indictment, because he himself had been through this path and he was forgiven. He went to Ibadan and made statements and so on and so forth. But then it turned out that some people believe maybe it is a moral trap for him. How can I condemn Pantami when I was in the same kind of kettle of fish?
But you know what? If that excuse stands for a man, what does it speak to about the security of 200 million people? Exactly. Especially in the circumstance that we found ourselves now, that what we used to believe was restricted to a particular area of the country, northeast, has now spread like a cancer across to the northwest, and even in the home state of the president as we speak, in minimum of 4 local government areas in the home state of the president, people go and sleep in Niger Republic and come do business during the day in Katsina.
Not to talk of the series of kidnappings that have taken place, and the fact that they even did it under the very eyes of the president.
Less than 2 hours drive.
Well, let's quickly look at the other issue, which is the issue of the dwindling financing in the country. Some people started thinking about it in a sharp way when the Edo State governor said that we're printing money, and the Governors Forum came to deny it. The CBN eventually denied it, and so on. But the states are really reeling, because some people say that the structure of the country is not well. Oil prices are not what they used to be, and oil sales are not what they used to be. The oil majors are trying to pull out of the country, and we seem to be living in dazed circumstances, thinking that things are still the same. Governors are are spending more time in Abuja than in their home states. And they are there for meetings other than governors of their own states.
A figure just came out not too long ago, and it showed the IGR of Lagos State standing taller than the IGR of the entire northern states combined.
Combined, yes.
And yet, let's be very honest with ourselves, these are facts that Nigerians can causally verify. The governor of the poorest northern state would want to conduct himself as the governor of Lagos State in cost terms.
Yes.
He will also want to fly
private jets all the time and be in Abuja. Many more times than Lagos. I think Lagos State is one of the few governors.
And thank God that he functioned as
that does not go to Abuja. Most governors are always there.
And thank God that you functioned as a practicing journalist in America. You know that there is a whole lot of difference between the remunerations of the governor of the state of New York,
yes,
and the governor of Wisconsin,
or the governor of Arkansas.
And yet in Nigeria, the governor of the poorest states sometimes are more flamboyant
than the governors of the richer states.
You see the irony? You see the irony, and we have forgotten also that in responsible and sustainably prosperous societies, the tax you get out of the wealth created by your indigenes should be the major source of running your state. What are the policies that governments across Nigeria, especially the state governments, what are the policies they have to incentivize productivity, in their states, and incentivize entrepreneurialism? Yes. So I'm sitting here now thinking, if just going to Abuja to share the FAC, Federal Allocation Committee, is what states largely depend on in Nigeria, they would always be broke, because in the backdrop of the reality of what, look, technology is changing the relevance of oil. Thank God that after the intensity of COVID-19 last year, the price of oil is spiking. But Nigeria is in a double whammy, because the increase in the price of oil, barrel of oil internationally, is speaking to a lousy gulf that must be breached in Nigeria, which the government has been denying for so long. That is the subsidy. Because the more the price increases, the price of the crude increases at the international market, inevitably the landing cost
increases. Well,
we are making money. We are making money for those who can do what we have refused to do, not so much because we have not done it before, but because we got so complacent that we now ran ourselves into the cul-de-sac of antediluvian. The oil was refined in Nigeria during the Civil War.
Yes.
67 to 70 was refined.
Well, what we can say is that we need to make our temperament of governance in tandem with the discipline of our circumstances, and the discipline of our circumstances in tandem with the temperament that is needed for governance. Well, we've had the Red Cap Chief, Gbola Oba.
I just hope and pray that those who are in government would understand the richness of your submission. Fantastic. I hope so. I just hope they can.
I hope. Thank you very much.
Always a privilege to be on your set.
Thanks. Just before the program ends, this is my poem in honor of Leah Sharibu.
Leah, you are everywhere and everyone. No one is safe. No one can save in the water, bushes, footpaths, and in the luxury contraption that slashes through the clouds. Our hearts tremor beats like yours. No student, no soldier, no priest is a master. Our country is a masterpiece of fear.
Thank you for watching today's program. You can catch up with my published column on www.samomashaye.com. And until next time, be good.